every pretty mama that you found. I always knew you'd never be true, try to love you as you are. But child, you've taken your cheating one lust affair too far. Come see what you'll be missing one more time. For you throw yourself a little further on down the line. You're too hot to hold, and I'm the fool for thinking you were mine. If those pants are hot, why the hell not throw them taters into fry? Deedle-ay, oh deedle-ay, deedle-ay. Thought I was a lucky gambler, always blowing on your dice. Going and showing you my hand, I guess I should have thought about it twice. I never rolled those double sevens, never got a royal flush. I guess I better find something steady, 'cause it looks like I'm out of luck. I'm folding and I'm bolting out that door, before I ask the dealer to put me back in for more. You're too hot, you bent the rules and I ain't so. I'm feeling what I feel, so let me out, 'cause there's no doubt I got the short end of this deal. Deedle-ay, oh deedle-ay, deedle-ay. I wrote that song after being in a relationship for too many years that was polyamorous because the other person wanted it to be, and I was going along with it because I loved him, basically, and kept trying to tell myself that if I were just stronger mentally and less insecure and all these things that were wrong with me, that I'd be much more able to handle him sleeping with people all the time and not even communicating with me about it. And what I really wanted was just some show of respect and consideration before he slept with people. And he just didn't want to compromise. He wanted to just call all the shots. And so even though I was compromised by being in this situation in the first place, he didn't even want to fulfill the basic need of what I wanted, of just talking about it before he slept with a new person. And it's kind of exaggeration, but it seemed to me like he was always trying to sleep with new people, especially if we ever went somewhere together, a festival or something. I was just chopped liver all of a sudden, and he would just go off and act completely offended if I asked to talk about it at all. And after a few years of this, there was one time I tried breaking up with him about it. It was hard because I still really loved him in a lot of ways, but I just couldn't handle there being no compromise towards my needs, and he was very upset that I was trying to break up, and we had a series of long, careful talks about it where I had written out what I wanted to say beforehand and trying to really, really communicate very well, and it seemed like we were making progress. And then I needed to go out of town for a few days, and just within a few hours of me leaving the house that we lived in together, he was sleeping with someone new in our house. And so that was upsetting to me that that would happen after all that trying to be like, okay, well, I'll try to make this work again if you really think that you can and that you really want this. And so just the next several months were kind of me saying, like, if we're going to do this, we need communication, and I need to be shown respect, and that you still care about me even if there's someone else in front of you that you want to sleep with. things that I think are pretty basic. And his argument was always kind of leading more and more towards, but I just don't want to have to talk to you about it. But I also want to still be able to come to you whenever I feel like it and have you do all of the relationship things that you do. And it was just to a point where every time we'd have these dinner parties at our house that we like to have, where we'd invite friends over and cook for them, he'd often have some new woman I'd never met who was just like hanging all over him, and obviously had been led to believe there was some kind of romance that was going to happen between them. And I'd just be standing there cooking and cleaning and, helping people with the party, and he wouldn't even introduce said new person to me, or let alone obviously explain to her that I was his loyal partner of 3 years or anything. And so this kept going on, and then in that spring I was just really not feeling how I was being treated, and really still very attached, but also feeling myself finally maybe able to distance if he couldn't communicate about these things. And he once again slept with someone new, and then came to me and told me after the fact about it, kind of like the way someone might tell their like locker room buddies. Like, he was just so excited, and he thought I'd be super excited, and he was telling me all about how it happened, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to be your partner anymore. And I just broke up with him after that. It was just the last one, the last lust affair. And he was very, very upset and started crying and wanted me to have all these long talks with him about it again, that it felt like to me he wouldn't even remember or listen to, because that was what happened in the past. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I'll have these talks with you, but they're no longer going to be about what I need or what is going to have to change for us to be together, because we can't be anymore. And so if you just need an extra reminder of why we're not, for you to learn from, maybe, to not do this to other people. So I kept having these conversations with him, and he asked me if I would come to a show he was playing, and I came to the show, and then I was going to go home after the show, and he was really upset and crying and telling me we need to talk, and he really needs me to talk to him, as though I hadn't been. And so I was like, okay, well, what are you doing right now? And it turned out that right now he had to go have his date with his new woman he was going to go sleep with. But tomorrow we needed to talk. And so I was just like, okay, bye. And I was biking home, and just those first few lines came to me. Must have thought you were a hot potato, the way you threw yourself around. And just kept going with that idea of, there's a lot of mosquitoes that love my face. Going with that idea of that game, Hot Potato, basically, and other things about potatoes. And I really like when old country songs just kind of overdo these stretched out, silly metaphors for really emotional topics. So that's what I was doing. And over the next few weeks, I finished the potato verse, and then thought of the gambling verse, and did everything I could think of with gambling. And so that's the summarized story of Hot Potato. Thank you.